Hey everyone, this is your friendly neighborhood world film geek, Albert Valance, and welcome to the second episode of our Ladies of Horror specials for Women's History Month. I have with me a very special guest today. I have Maria Olsen. She is an actress and producer. People will know her for films such as Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief, Paranormal Activity 3, American Horror Story, and The Lords of Salem. Maria is also a producer who has her own production company, Monster Work 66. She's originally from South Africa, but now she's based in Los Angeles. And I am pleased to have her here because she is one of the busiest actresses of the genre I have seen, because I just saw her IMDb page a few days ago. And I think she's like the Dwayne Johnson of the horror genre. And I mean that wholeheartedly. So thank you, Maria, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Albert. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's awesome. Yay.
So where did the journey begin? Where did your horror journey begin? Like, I know you're originally from South Africa, but did you watch horror movies as a child?
Absolutely. It actually, I have very clear memories of when I was a small kid, like 3 or 4, maybe 5, 6 years old, like that. Literally laying with my mom on the bed, and we like looking at Dracula books. And I'm like, Mom, what did Dracula do? Does he like attack these people? Does he attack those people? And she would like explain everything to me. It's like, okay, fine. When you're 6, okay. But it has given me a love of the horror genre, because I think I associated with all those good memories of times with my mom where we shared something that, she loved and I came to love.
That's
So that's
that's a
literally where it started.
that's awesome. I'm glad you remember it like that far ahead. I mean, my earliest horror memories are like we only had one TV in our apartment in New York. So when we would watch Friday the 13th, my mom kept covering my eyes when every time Jason was about to kill someone. But then finally at 6 years old, I was upstairs. I went to my upstairs neighbor's house, and a whole bunch of us, including my brothers, our family friends, and we watched Nightmare on Elm Street 2. So that's like the first full horror movie I ever saw. And I thought when Freddy popped out of Jesse's body, I thought that was the coolest thing I ever saw in my entire life. So in some ways, I think for years I had this love for the horror genre, but it really didn't pick up till like maybe my teen years.
Okay.
But um,
Talking about Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and I watch a lot of horror as well. I obviously watched that in South Africa because I was still there when it came out. But that iconic scene at the end with the school bus in the desert, I have never forgotten that.
oh no,
Never. It was one of the things that really, really stayed with me for some reason. I don't know. Whenever I think of that film, that's the scene.
yes, and also I didn't even know like till years later that it was Robert Englund without the makeup as the bus driver. I just never picked that up until so many years later, and I'm glad I got to see him at Spooky Empire convention in Orlando just this past October, and that was
Awesome.
a total blast to see the Q&A, and he had so many stories to tell.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So, how did you know that you wanted to get into the entertainment industry, like as an actress and later on as a producer?
I honestly don't remember. I've been performing since I was 6 years old. Yeah,
Oh
my
wow.
mom put me into ballet school when I was literally 6, and we used to have our annual shows at the big theater in East London, South Africa. And I was at home there from the beginning. I remember, like, I literally have memories of being on stage in front of like 500 people that our theater held, and performing on stage in the dance group and like speaking to my friend next to me and like, oh yeah, we can switch places. And we just moved around because we were like so comfortable, literally in the middle of a performance. Yeah, I want to stand there. Okay, fine, I'll just move over there. It's like, that's what I grew up with.
Wow.
And yeah, when I started high school, I started trying out for the plays. And I, wait, standard 6 is your 8th grade. Yes. When I was in 8th grade, I booked one of Cinderella's ugly sisters in a play that, yeah, like just a taste of things to come, right? Um, in one of our school's plays. And then I did musicals and I did more straight plays. I did about, I don't know, between 25 and 30 musicals and straight plays when I was still in South Africa, for the 2 different dramatic societies we had in our town.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I couldn't do anything in film when I was still there because we didn't have a film industry where I was living. Sure, they were making movies in like Johannesburg and Cape Town, but that was 1,000 miles away from me.
Yeah.
TV, I remember a time in South Africa before we had TVs. Um, exactly, we were like
Wow.
late to join that trend. Um, and there was just no TV work that I could do because again, it was in the big cities, way away from where I was. But when I got to Los Angeles, I was like, you've been wanting to do film for your whole life, so um, you're here now. So let's try this.
That is
And
that's quite a
yeah,
journey. I mean, like I've talked with a lot of South African actors over the past year, and like I'm learning so much more about their industry, the industry over there. And I did not like I never would imagine like where you're from, like they didn't have that. That's just insane.
yeah. Um, I distinctly remember it. My dad managed a hotel when I was young, so we all, my mom, dad, and I'm an only child. Um, we lived in the hotel because it was on the outskirts of town. And I remember the guys coming around, the salesman coming around. There's this new thing called a television. Let's sell you a couple for the lounges in the hotel. And I remember like watching it for the first time because there was this new thing and we were buying it for the hotel,
Yeah.
so I very distinctly have those memories. It's weird, right,
It
in this day and
it,
age to go,
it
I
may seem
remember a
weird.
time
It
before TV.
I think to certain people may be weird. For me, I think that's amazing because to have so when you got your first taste of getting a television, did you get to watch any horror movies that helped you?
Eventually, yes, but the first movie that was ever shown on television in South Africa was Oklahoma.
Oh, nice. Yep. That's a
Yep,
classic.
yep.
Yep. I think I actually have that DVD somewhere laying around here in my massive collection behind me. So
Yeah, I
it's
see
got
it.
so yeah, my actual first awesome horror film, and it's still my favorite to this day, is the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Hmm.
I did not see it till I was 12, and that's because my mother would not let me see it. She'd let me watch other stuff like Class Nukem High. I think
Okay.
she tried to get me to watch Demons at one point. I was like,
Hmm.
I couldn't watch it until later in life. But at 12, I finally saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I remember giving my mom the dirtiest look after seeing like, why did you not let me watch this? Like, it wasn't bloody, but I realized it was really disturbing.
Yeah,
That was the like I can kind of see why she wouldn't let me watch it.
yeah.
She thought my mind would be totally out there, and that's funny because my daughter said the same thing to me when I finally showed it to her a few weeks ago.
Mm. Okay.
She's like, and she watches the bloody stuff. Like
Mm.
she has her tradition every Friday. She has to watch a horror movie, and she goes. So when I showed her this one, she goes, "All right, Dad, I will go for the bloody stuff, but how do I put this? This movie was disturbing,
Mm.
but she liked it. She likes it. I think she's beginning to become a big horror fan as I am."
No, that's good. Carrying on the tradition.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So when you arrived to Los Angeles, what was your first film or TV experience that you remember?
Okay. When I got here, I wanted to do something I was comfortable with first, so I joined a theater group that was like literally a mile away from my house, and I did a year of theater with them, both working on stage and backstage. I also used to stage manage and things like that. I loved stage managing. It was just like bringing everything together and controlling everything and making it work. Um, and there was this one play called A Flea in Her Ear. It's a farce. So there's a lot of dialogue and everything is so quick and happening all the time. And the girl who was playing the second lead, she booked a commercial, okay, which took her out of the play for like one Friday. And the director came up to me and he was like, this was Thursday. The director came up to me and said, "Oh, Christian can't be here tomorrow night, so you're on. You're playing her." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" Because I was stage managing at the time. I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Oh, and you're going to be doing it off book too." And I'm like, "Excuse me?" Because and he was like, "You know the lines." And I'm like, And anyway, it involved speaking Spanish, which me no speak Spanish, me African.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, I took a day off work. I learned the damn role in a day. I appeared on stage on Friday night. I messed up one line, and I apologized profusely for messing up one line to the leading lady later on. And she was like, no, no, just don't say that. But the guy who I played opposite, he was like, oh, that just happened. Okay. So when he did his feature film, Sam Hell, the year later, he was like, I am giving you a role in this because you just blew me away with what you did in that play.
Oh wow.
That was my first ever film.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And
amazing.
that's if you can find Sam Hell, it's a really, really good film. But because there were disagreements, shall we say, amongst the producers, it never got a proper
Award.
release.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it at a festival. It's really, really good. And then it was just released on YouTube, like really, really quietly, and no one knows it's there. But if you can hunt it down, Sam Hell by Son of Jason Productions, Michael Bayuth,
Oh wow. Okay.
find it and
So
watch it. It's really, really good.
yeah, I'm definitely gonna track that one down. And
Yeah,
that's surprise. I didn't even know that they had this film, and
exactly.
that's the crazy thing. You get these films that you never heard of,
Mm-hmm.
and they just pop up on YouTube. Like now, I'm seeing a lot of, believe it or not, recent South African films are popping up on YouTube.
Huh.
Like I came across a few, and I started watching them, and
Yeah.
they're in Afrikaans with subtitles. So it kind of
Yeah.
inspired me. I'm kind of learning Afrikaans a little bit at this point because
Jy kan Afrikaans praat?
yeah, see, I'm still learning.
Which was, you can
Yeah,
speak Afrikaans.
like
Yeah.
I could say hello, Ekis Albert, aangename kennis. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool. Really, really great accent too. I can totally understand you. You know, a lot of like maybe American or non-South African people, when they try to speak Afrikaans, they sort of cannot get the inflection or the intonation of the accent, but you were amazing.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I think I tried seeing one title, the Reine, and she was like, "You sounded more Dutch than Afrikaans." But
Ah,
it was a movie called Alles wat mal is, and it was a
mhm,
Daryl Root film. It was a rom com because we were talking about Daryl Root, who directed her in The Lullaby, and how
yeah.
he's one of the most versatile filmmakers over there because he does almost every genre
Hmm.
imaginable there. So we were talking about his stuff, and I mentioned that title, and she said I sounded. She goes, it's okay. You almost got it. But you sounded Dutch. So like, okay,
Yeah,
I'm
I can
learning.
tell you why. You said east instead of us. It's closed. It's more
Is.
closed. Alles wat daar is.
Alles wat is.
Wat daar is.
It's wat mal.
Da, da, da. Was maar
Wat
is.
mal is. So
Alles wat maar is.
how you like that?
It's more closed.
I'm learning this I'm learning Afrikaans. This is awesome. That's awesome. So one of the roles that you are known for, and I distinctly remember this because it's one of my favorite like non-horror films. It's more like it's one of my favorite fantasy films. Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief.
Yep.
You played Mrs. Dodds, the teacher.
Yep.
That was, I'm going to say, you scared the crap out of me with your transformation scene when you turned into the Fury. But what was it like shooting that? Because it must have been even though your role was small, you still made an impact in my book.
Well, it was supposed to be smaller, let me tell you that. In the original script, um, Percy Logan was just going to be encountering this homeless woman on some street corner, and she was be like, lightning thief, lightning whatever, yeah, turning into monster, yeah. And after I auditioned and booked the role, Chris Columbus was like, no, 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 we need to rewrite that bit so that she's actually Mrs. Dodds, the character from the book. And so the entire school sequence, the sequence in the classroom, the sequence in the museum was rewritten to create the character of Mrs. Dodds, and not just some random homeless woman on a street corner.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think he might not. I don't know if they admit this, but I think because you're such a good actress, they must have. They said, no, there's someone who needs a bigger role in this one because, like I said, you were great in that film, and you were.
Thank you.
And the museum scene where I was like, I literally like jumped out of my chair when you like as soon as you jumped and transformed. I was like, I was like, oh my god, like that was just insane. Was that was all CGI though, right? Like
Yeah,
obviously.
Me jumping off the scaffolding was obviously me jumping off the scaffolding 25 feet in the air, and then it turned into CGI when I
Right.
transformed into the Fury.
Oh, so that,
I
wow, that you did your own stunt there. That's cool.
I did. It was in my contract that I did my own stunts, so they actually flew me up to Vancouver twice. Or was it three times? Once to learn how to do the stunt. So
Mhm.
I worked with the stunt team on a scaffolding that was about 10 foot high, and I
Yeah.
got used to the harness and everything that was used, and I learned how to jump off scaffolding and harness on this 10-foot high scaffolding.
Wow.
Awesome. When I got to set and I saw the thing was like twice the height, I was like, oh crap. But you know what? When he yells action, you're going to have to jump off this thing
And you did
multiple
it.
times, and there is no choice. Fortunately, I'm not afraid of heights, so I was like, okay, I trust, stunt worker down there who's holding the rope, who's not going to let me fall. That's fine. I'll just jump off this thing when I have to.
Oh wow.
um
And you
yeah,
actually did that yourself.
yeah, I
That's
did that
even more.
myself.
Do you still
Yeah.
do you still do your own stunts in any of the stuff you do, or you tend to get a stunt double nowadays?
um no, if I can do it, I will, but that's sort of a double-edged sword because I have injured myself. I tore the cartilage in my knee during a rehearsal for a haunted house performance, which wasn't a good idea at all. And that has come back to haunt me. Um, yeah,
Wow.
and
Oh, so you
that's
do
not.
so you actually do horror stuff outside of
Oh
film and
yeah, I've
TV. Yeah.
done a ton of immersive theater and haunts and things like that. I
Oh
don't know if
wow.
you've heard of Delusion. It's quite a famous Los Angeles haunt.
Mhm.
John Braver, Victor Matthew. I did 2 seasons of that. Or was it three? Who knows? I don't know anymore. Years ago. I've done In Another Room, which was for EW3 Productions. We actually took that to the Outlook Film Festival in New Orleans a couple of years back. I've done again with EW3. I did the Outlook Film Festival second season. We did a 4 or 5 day long immersive horror game where we played characters throughout different locations in New Orleans, which, by the way, is my favorite city in the whole world.
So take note of that, New Orleans
Mhm.
fans. Check.
So, yeah, I've done a lot of
Oh,
horror.
so
I've done
you,
podcasts, radio, maybe. Um, Pretty much theater, horror theater with
wow.
Zombie Joe's Underground Theater, which we did off Broadway as well. We performed our Poe shows there, St. Luke's Theater in Manhattan. So, yeah, a lot
Wow,
of
that's
work.
amazing. Oh, seriously, what is it you cannot do at this point? Because you do
A
it
lot of
all.
things.
A
A
lot
lot
of
of things I cannot do, trust me.
but you also and you actually formed your own production company, Monsterworks 66.
I
When
did.
when did you form that, and how was
Um,
the what was that like to form your own company and that you can
it was good. It's sort of on hiatus right now because a lot of things like you need money. Yeah, money to produce films. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And COVID and time and all kinds of things. I think it was in 2012 that we began, and it was just as simple as a friend of mine, Brandon Scullion, who's an amazing filmmaker, like dropping me a message saying, "Hey, I'm thinking of doing this movie up in Utah. Do you want to come on as a co-producer? There's a role for you, but I need help with things."
Yeah.
And I'm like, absolutely, let's do this adventure. And that eventually turned into Consumption, the film Consumption,
Mhm.
which, if you haven't seen it, you really should. We won a ton of awards on the festival circuit, and it got full distribution eventually through Wild Eye Releasing.
Oh,
And
nice. Yep.
yeah,
I'm familiar with that.
I love that company. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're
And
great.
it's out there, and
Yeah, definitely. I'll
I think
definitely
it's a
put that on
great
my list.
film for a $5,000 budget sort of thing.
See, that's what I love about indie horror films. Like you guys can take the minimalist of budgets and make the
Mm,
most out of it and still make quality work. Sometimes even no sometimes even better than A-list stuff that they take like $50 million to
mm.
make, and then you look at it and you're like, what did I just watch? what
Yeah.
is this? Like indie horror films, or like indie films in general, are like the best now, because I would rather watch more of those than watch these A-list films where they spend all this money,
Mm.
but for what? It's more. I think,
Actually, agreed. I mean, let's, for instance, compare, I don't know, Starry Eyes to, just pulling it out of air here, The Curse of La Llorona.
yeah,
To me, Starry Eyes is way more gritty and intense and horrifying
mhm,
than the other. Maybe because at an indie level you have more creative freedom, and at a
exactly.
studio level it's more horror by committee.
Yeah, and what I like about the horror film community is everyone's so close knit. They work on each other's projects like so much. Like literally, you guys are like, it's like you guys are like one extended family that's gone like
Yeah.
everywhere. Like I talked with Spooky Dan Walker back in, I think it was like 2017 or 2018. He was the director of the movie Sleigh Bells, the horror comedy Sleigh
Hmm.
Bells, and he was saying like how he lived 10 miles from all these other indie horror film directors, and like Adam Green and Tim Sullivan, and they get together and talk about their projects once in a while, and they like
Yeah.
come up with, and he was saying like everyone's so nice, and he even said like All the Creatures Were Stirring, which you were in. I do remember you in that. I interviewed Ashley Clemens for that one, but he was saying the day Sleigh Bells was supposed to come out, like for a promo thing, All the Creatures Were Stirring were coming out at the same time on the same night in another theater. So
Yeah.
he told the distributor, he told the people at the theater, listen, postpone Sleigh Bells, because I promised
Oh,
Rebecca I would go see All the Creatures Were Stirring. I'm
nice.
going to that.
Oh,
So they
that's
actually,
awesome.
yeah. So I was like, that is so amazing you did that. He's like, well, I got to support my friends, because we're a big community here, much more bigger than we think.
Yeah.
And so I think
Yeah.
that's amazing he did that. But I do remember you and All the Creatures Were Stirring. That's like one
I
of my
love
favorite.
that role.
That was fun, and all the stories in the inner stories were fun as well. I couldn't stop watching it.
Mm. Um, Actually, that's a sort of kind of role that I really enjoy best. It had literally no dialogue. It was just really strange, weird, off the wall, left of center character that I could have fun with.
Yeah,
And I really enjoy things like that. And yeah, thank you, Rebecca.
yeah. You've done so many roles, and you've done so many. You play like creepy. You play, you play good guys. You play bad guys. And one of the ones that you played a total bad guy in was I Spit on Your Grave, Deja Vu, opposite Jamie Bernadette, who, believe it or not, is going to be my next guest coming up on this. So
Excellent.
yes, so we got her coming to the podcast, but it must have been great working with her and a legend, Camille Keaton.
Oh,
She
wow.
was,
Camille.
oh my gosh,
She has my utmost respect, both as an actress and a person. She is amazing. Wow.
yeah. I got to talk to her for when she did Cry for the Bad Man. I don't know if did you see
Hmm.
that one, where she was a widow and the home and people were invading her home because they want the property, and she just blows them away with a shotgun every chance she gets. But I talked to her about that film, and oh my god, she was such a delight to talk to. And
She's
so,
lovely.
what was it like working with them on I Spit on Your Grave?
That was an amazing shoot. Both Jamie and Camille are utter professionals and so incredibly talented. Um, it was just a dream come true, you know. And Mayor Zarki, oh my God, the whole family, I love them so much. I have wonderful memories of Mayor and I singing show tunes at lunchtime, you know. And Terry, I adore Terry. Terry is Mayor's son. Um, he played my son in the film actually because he was the original one of he and his sister Tammy were the original kids in
Yeah,
the original I Spit on Your Grave.
yeah,
Um, it was just an amazing experience to be part of that family. I just love it so much. We had a wonderful shoot. It was October, November 2015. Several locations throughout Los Angeles area. Um, and it was just one of the best films I've ever worked on in my whole life because she was such a deep and complex character,
yeah.
you know. Um, like at the beginning, my very first day, I remember when I was in the makeup chair and they were like, okay, let's put some grease on your hair now. And I'm like, no, let's not. She's not this iconic backwards deliverance woman. She's a normal woman who believes something and she's out to fix that perceived wrong. I want her to be relatable. I
Yeah.
don't want her to be seen like the mother from home the X-Files episode where you hide her under the bed sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, so no, don't make me overtly like backwards looking. I'm normal. I do take pride in myself. I wash my hair for God's sake. You know, but I
Yeah.
also happen to think that it was Jennifer Hills's fault what happened, and
Right.
that's just my choice. I
Yeah.
made my choice because of certain things, and I'm now about to right that wrong.
That's really cool. That like so they let you keep the look. That oh that's see
Yeah.
see that's another thing I like about indie films. They let you the directors will they ask for your input. Like
Mm,
with some of these other producers, they're you have to do what you're told or this and that. But that's what I like about indie films. They're willing to listen to you.
yeah.
Like and obviously they did an amazing job. You know,
Yeah.
um,
I mean, also in I Spit in Your Grave, Deja Vu, the character was originally written to ride a Harley motorbike. And I've never learned how to ride a motorbike, so I'm like, I can't do that. Um, and we actually worked our way through several types of bikes and ATVs and whatever till we finally came upon the one that was used in the film. And I had the time of my life riding that thing. I loved it so much that like I want one now. Um,
you just answered my next question. Did you end up buying one, or is it
no,
that's like,
no, but I loved it so much.
oh wow,
But yeah, they worked with me until we finally found something that worked for the character, looked good, and I can handle. Otherwise, it was like, well, you can't ride a Harley, so we can't cast you. That might
yeah,
be
exactly. I mean,
someone else's experience, yeah, but this was amazing.
yeah, that's all. Like I said, I like that they let you get your input on things, and this is what I like.
Mm.
So, who are some of your other favorite horror film directors that you've worked with that allow you to just? I know there's a lot. I know I can see your face, right? You got a lot in mind,
Like,
but who are some
like
of like?
I, I always choose never to answer that question because I don't want to play favorites.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying. No, we're not talking
Um,
favorites. We're just saying like in like just you just throw a few names. I mean, I know you like working with everyone, obviously, because your credits are just insane. I'm just looking at your acting credits and I see like over 200. I'm like you're like close to Danny Trejo. Danny Trejo is like 400. You're like
like
almost
everywhere.
second to him. Like
Well, obviously Dennis and Kevin on Starry Eyes. I had worked with both of them before on a little short film called Curtain, where I played a succubus, actually, who lives in a shower until, she's released and mayhem ensues. If you haven't seen Curtain, you should hunt it down. I think it's still on their website, Paralactic Pictures. Um, and when Starry Eyes was still a like 9-page short film, Dennis and Kevin went, well, we liked you so much in Curtain, we'll give you this small role of the casting director, who just pretty much sat there and did nothing in the short version of Starry Eyes. And then when it was this huge big film, I kept the role. So I got in there without even auditioning. And I had one coffee meeting with Dennis, and he was like, you know what? You're not going to play like the succubus. And I'm like, no, obviously not. And he was like, yeah, you're going to be like this. And I'm like, yes, absolutely. That's what I agreed to. That's how I see it too. And I loved Starry Eyes. Oh my God. Such an amazing production. I loved Alex. She's so talented. Um, like her career has taken off. I am
yeah,
so proud of
that's awesome.
Alex. She's amazing. Um, and Starry Eyes, I had to wear high heel shoes, which I absolutely hate because I fall down.
You're
Um,
not the only one. Raina told me when she did Z Nation, she had to run in high heels, and she actually hurt her
oh God,
foot and did the
that's
whole.
right.
And she actually did the whole season with the bad foot. She told me, she says, I ended up shooting the whole season with a bad foot because
Yeah,
she doesn't like high heels. she didn't like high heels either.
No, it's not fun, really. Um, yeah, horrible memories of high heel shoes and starry eyes, but I love the overall experience.
So yeah,
Um, Another one, if you haven't seen it yet, is Mark of the Witch, Jason Bognaki's Mark of the Witch. We shot that with Nancy Wolfe, who you may remember if you've seen the original Helter Skelter. She played
yeah.
Susan Atkins.
Oh, okay.
Sexy Sadie, yeah.
Yes.
If you can find Mark of the Witch, it's on Amazon. It's very different. It's like Neo Giallo. It's like all these
Ooh.
old Giallo tropes and all the beautiful colors and images and everything, but with a modern twist, obviously.
Yeah.
It's like horror space opera sort of thing. It's all the heightened emotions and heightened everything, and I absolutely love that film. Absolutely love that film. Another wonderful experience I had was working with Lou Simon and Tara Cardinal on Agoraphobia, where I got to face off with Tony Todd. It was awesome in one
Yes.
scene.
The
Yes,
Candyman.
yes. And Cassie Skirbo, she was
Oh,
also in it. She was the
she's
lead. She was,
she's great.
yeah,
I
yeah,
liked her Truth or Dare, and she was one of the great characters in the Sharknado franchise.
exactly,
So
exactly.
that
Yes,
yeah, she's a great actress as well.
yeah. What else? Coming off a consumption with Ariel Brackfeld, we went straight into The Haunting of Whaley House. Literally, there was like a day in between.
Oh wow.
Yeah, then we all came down to Long Beach to shoot Haunting of Whaley House. Loved that. Loved working with Jose, our director, on that. He brought me back in the, of course, now my memory goes. Ed Wood movie about Plan 9 from Outer Space, when we
Okay.
did our mockumentary on Plan 9 from Outer
Oh
Space.
nice.
I That was amazing as well. I just love having all these different experiences with different people and different aspects of the genre.
Yeah,
You know,
I even saw you worked with one of my recent favorite horror film directors, Dustin Ferguson, Apex Predators.
absolutely.
He's one of I ended up getting a bunch of his films just to check out. I'm like, I don't care how like ridiculous these films look, man. I'm having the time of my life watching these because he's such a great director. Like he'll do anything. And
Yes.
I ended up getting a bunch of his films.
Yeah,
And he's he's such great. But yeah, you had a role in Apex Predators, which just
I
came out
did.
not too long ago. So
Yeah,
what was
I
that
did.
like?
Wet. No. It was so much fun, and yes, I had to jump out of the boat, so yes, it was wet, but I really don't mind doing things like that. It's all part of the adventure, all part of the fun. We did have other projects planned, but hey, pandemic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pandemic ruined
um
everything. Yeah,
it did, didn't it?
yeah.
Oh, and what came out recently, like literally 2 days ago, is Michael Rodriguez's Last American Horror Story Part 2, in
Oh, okay.
which, yeah, I have a role that I loved playing. And also recently, about 2 weeks back, was Danny and the Vampire. That came out. I have a small role in that, and that has been like collecting accolades and awards on the indie festival circuit.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that one was like, wait, what? Really? That one? Um,
Yeah, and
oh,
then
I
we
thought I
recently got
turned you off.
we all got treated some recent films outside. Like we got a couple of recent remakes and sequels. I really enjoyed. We had Slumber Party Massacre, the remake
Hmm.
on Sci-Fi. Did you get a chance to see that one yet?
I do not have sci-fi.
Yeah.
I watch Netflix at the moment and some other streaming services because my computer's dumb and I can't like
Yeah.
stream a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
it is on Blu-ray now, thank God. So I mean I saw it when it first on Sci-Fi, but this was actually Danishka Esterhazy's an amazing director.
mhm.
She did the Banana Splits movie, which
I need to
I
see
think destroyed a lot of kids' childhood
that.
because they reinvented it as animatronic killers. But she directed this, and even
It
though
happens.
she's Canadian, she used an all South African cast for this one.
Oh. Hello.
and
Nice.
she actually cast one of the funniest comedians over there, Rob Van Buren, as Russ Thorne, the driller killer, and and he was great. I mean, he just copied the original guy's movements, but I don't know what happened. He just looked better as in that
Mm,
role. But I actually had Rob and one of the male co-stars back in November, and
okay.
we had this chat about it. It was so much fun on the podcast, and yeah, I'm bringing Rob back later this year because he's a well-known comedian over there.
Yeah.
And then we recently had on Netflix the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Um, did you get a chance to catch that one yet?
Not yet. I'm in the middle of the Australian series Glitch, which is
Nice.
sci-fi horror. So I'm just letting that play out. Then I'm gonna watch.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
representing. I got the T-shirt of the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So, but
Nice.
I did catch it. I just had one small issue, but other than that, I really enjoyed it. I feel like it was a direct sequel, but
Okay.
I think the actor who played him, I think Gunnar Hansen would probably be proud of
Mm,
what this guy pulled off. But yeah,
awesome.
overall, I liked it, so I hope you will too when you get to see it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So I
And
was just starting to see like reactions about it on Facebook and that, which I'm not on that much lately, but still I'm like, wait, what? There's another one. Hmm. I
yeah,
need
it's
to
from
watch this.
Fetty Alvarez did it, the guy who did the
Okay.
Evil Dead remake, and
Which I need to see.
me
I've
too. But
seen
yeah,
obviously seen the original, but I need to see the remake. Yeah.
yeah, I think my opinion is because of him that everyone's going back to using practical effects and not so much. I can't stand like if there's too much CGI in to do the slide, I can't watch it.
Yeah.
Like
No.
I gotta have my practical
Yeah.
gore, and I'm
It's
glad
much
that
better. Yeah.
yeah, it is. It's more believable,
Yeah.
and you don't even need to spend that much money doing it.
No. And you have amazing practical effects artists around.
Yeah,
So yeah, use them, you know?
exactly. You don't need to you don't need to spend $25 million just to remove a mustache. We, we all know that
No.
story. I'm sure you heard that story, but
Oh
still,
God.
I mean, I do love. I'm and Reina was telling me in South Africa they don't watch their local horror films. They more watch like the American ones, like
Hmm.
Blumhouse and stuff like that.
Okay.
But Did you know Reina directed a movie,
I did
Hex?
not.
Yeah,
No, I wait. She direct. Hold on.
she yeah, Reina directed a horror film called The Hex in South Africa.
Wonderful. No, I did not
Oh,
know that.
it's really good. It's about a British woman who goes to South Africa to investigate her mom's death, and it has to do with like a witch doctor's curse.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's on DVD now because I did buy it.
Okay.
And then
Excellent.
I like movies like Saw and Battle Royale. Like I like the international horror
Mm,
flicks. And
me too.
um I remember she did one called Triggered, and I got to talk to most of like a lot of the cast members from that. And that's another good. That's also on DVD right now. Samuel Goldwyn Films picked it
Okay.
up, and it's nine friends who, after 5 years after their high school graduation, they reunite. They get knocked out, and they're strapped with suicide bomb vests,
Oh wow.
and they have to kill each other. And whoever they kill, the closest one steals their time to survive.
Okay.
And they shot that
Wow.
one. They shot that one in, I think it was Stellenbosch, South
Okay.
Africa,
Yeah.
like at an apple, like they think it was like a horse farm they shot it in at night. But yeah, I became friends with some of the cast besides Raina, a few
Mm.
of the other cast members there I'm friends with, and I still talk with. So so yeah, I'm giving you recommendations at this point now. Like, well, yeah, you
Sounds
check this
fine
one
by
out.
me.
Yeah, like this one, like you're giving me recommendations. I'm giving you some recent ones, especially with you being in LA. And do you get to go back to South Africa now and again, or just you're just too busy to these days?
Um, I, yeah, a lot of us, Jamie and I were going to go back. Well, we did go back in like, I think it was 2019 to shoot a film there, which unfortunately fell apart like the day before we arrived.
Oh
So
no.
all we got to do was have a 3-week vacation in South Africa. And I haven't been back since because obviously the whole world's gone
Yeah, it's
insane.
just been crazy.
Yeah, and that really has slowed down what I've been able to do as well because my dad is 88, 89 later on this month actually. And I obviously didn't want to go traveling around where there was a possibility of my catching COVID and then giving it to him. So
Yeah.
I pulled out of like active shooting projects for a long time because of that. Just sort of kind of starting to get back into it, but again, I'm also injured right now, so I
Oh,
can't do a lot. Yeah,
wa-
because the
was it
damn.
was it from a movie set or just regular?
No, what I told you about earlier when I tore my cartilage during that rehearsal.
Oh,
I didn't know what it was for years. I was just like, oh, well, my knee hurts. Until it got so very bad on the set of The Crumbs that I could hardly walk sometimes.
ouch.
Um, and then I went to a physiotherapist who was like, yeah, no, your cartilage is like tiny little pieces. What the hell did you do? Um, and I was making great progress with her, and then COVID, and she closed her practice, and she hasn't opened, and so here I sit doing nothing really.
Oh man, that's terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
but
hopefully that'll eventually get better. Yeah.
yeah. Oh wow. But you're still keeping busy. I mean, I'm looking at your IMDb page. You got a lot of films in pre-production and a couple in post-production and announced, and you're just keeping busy. It's just like pretty insane.
Um, it can be. Yeah, I actually think I only shot 2 films last year, which is obviously a reflection of everything that's going on.
Right.
And the year before, I think it was 3 features, 2 commercials. I think that was it, but that was the main year that everything shut down. Everything shut down.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I got a film in Colorado, shot before we all shut down. I was there in February 2020, and then I shot Pretty Boy. We haven't spoken about Pretty Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ronald's Little Factory shot at the end of 2020. Ronald's is still in post, but Pretty Boy is obviously out there.
Yeah.
And
What was that experience like?
oh, I loved it. I was at the LA premiere of Blind. I don't know if you've seen Blind. If you haven't, run, don't walk to see Blind. I was blown away by Blind. So I met Marcel, the director, and Sarah and Joe, writer, star, at the premiere. And I was like, you guys are gods. This film is amazing. I would love to work with you. So a couple of years later, when they did the sequel to Blind, which is Pretty Boy,
Mm-hmm.
they wrote me in as Pretty Boy's mother, which was amazing. I loved the character. I loved shooting it. I had such wonderful scenes to play. The whole experience was just lovely.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, and I hope we get to do more of that kind of work in the future. That would be really, really great.
Do you have a favorite subgenre of horror films? Not so much
Or
that you work with, but that you like to watch when on
ah,
your off days.
um, actually, I can answer both those questions. My favorite genre to work in, funnily enough, is horror comedy.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
there's just something so goofy about that. I love
it
it.
is. And like, believe it or not, the new. I will tell you, if you get to see the new Slumber Party Massacre, they did what the original was supposed to do. It was supposed to be a satire
Mm,
on the slasher films, but then Roger Corman had turned it into a straight up slasher
okay.
film. But the new version, they did what was originally intended, and then they they switched up the horror tropes. So
Okay.
let's just put it this way: you ain't gonna see girls going, girls going out. You're gonna see guys. You see a guy's pillow fight, and like you get to see a shower. Yes,
Yes.
it's just hysterical to watch. And you get a guy getting a shower scene, not a girl. So
Revenge is sweet.
but it was. I think she just said it best right there.
I must find that film. Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
it is on Blu-ray right now.
okay.
So definitely work.
Um,
Shout Factory released it, so you could definitely pick it up. I actually saw it at my local Walmart, so
okay.
they have it there. Um, but yeah, it's worth it. But I will say the female gaze is what they went for with this, and they did a really good job.
It's about time.
Exactly, I totally agree with that. I granted, I'm a straight guy, but still, I'm like, why can't, like, I always see when you watch these horror films, you see like the tropes are like the girls have to get naked all the time, and the girls have to do all this. Like why can't the guys? That's just like not right. Like At
Yeah,
least they're showing equality now. That's a sense of equality between that now, and I'm glad they're doing
exactly.
that.
I remember a conversation Jamie Bernadette had with Mayor on the set of I Spit on Your Grave. She was like, if I have to get naked, then the boys do as well. Because there was one scene where she was attacking Kevin, the character Kevin,
Mhm.
Jonathan Pease, and she was like, no, no, if I have to be naked throughout most of this fucking film, then oh, I hope I can swear. Ha.
Oh no, you're good. You
Then
can. You can.
thank
You
you,
can.
thank you.
We'll allow it.
Then I think the male characters do as well. And Mary was like, yeah, yeah, yes, okay, fine. So we got that equality on that set
There
because
you
of
go.
Jamie. Yeah,
Yeah. You definitely get that with Slumber Party Massacre, and
yeah.
like it's even at the part. It's even at the point where the girls are seeing the pillow fight, and like, is this what guys do when we're not around? Like, I love that line. That line cracked me up. But
I
just for the
like it.
record, I'm not answering that. I will not say that.
I plead the fifth.
I'm pleading
Yes.
the fifth.
To come back to your
Yeah.
question, the genre of horror that I like watching the most is supernatural
Like
mystery. So,
ghost flicks and
yeah, my
yeah,
cat is howling in the background. If you hear it, just
it's
ignore it.
okay.
It's fine.
It's okay.
Um,
I've had my
yeah,
dog bark a few
that's
times. So. That's cool. I like werewolf films.
okay.
And I was blessed, and I like the horror comedy, and I'm blessed that we got both of them last year with Werewolves Within, because that was one of the
Haven't seen that yet. Yeah.
it was one of the funniest like horror films I saw. Like it was meant to be a horror comedy, a murder mystery about someone's a werewolf in this town, and it was just the way it was executed was hysterical. It's like everyone's trying to go after each other. Like you're the one, you're the werewolf. And it was really funny. So it and Reina made a good point. We need more horror comedies. We don't get enough. Everything is
Mm,
bamming out there, but yeah, I think we need more horror comedies because they're just you need a good laugh while getting a good scare at the same time. That's what I think.
yeah. Yeah.
Why
I
can't you
think
have
my
both?
favorite is
It's like why can't you
yeah,
have both?
exactly. Favorite horror comedy I think is Zombievers. If you haven't seen it, find
I've
it.
heard, I've
It's
seen,
really
I haven't
funny.
seen it yet, but I was like, all right, I've seen it on like the streamings. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna have to put this one on my list to watch because I was like, that just looks insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a
Yeah.
few. I'm trying to think. There was one that just came out. I just bought the DVD too. Oh, One Cut of the Dead. That's a horror comedy from Japan, and it's a film crew.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Huh.
a film crew shooting a zombie movie, and they find real zombies where they're in the place they're shooting at. So it's just like who's real and who's not. So that's one on my list.
Yes.
But trying Nicolas Cage did Willy's Wonderland. That's an insane movie.
Yes.
That was that was
Yes.
crazy.
Agreed.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that was there was another one. This was a more of a sci-fi flick, but it did have horror stuff in it from South Africa. Fried Berry. It was about a drug dealer overtaken by an alien. Like he's possessed by an alien and he's taken throughout Cape Town and just goes on these wacky stuff happening throughout the film. But that was a fun one too. Yeah, so we got quite a few good horror films. I also like films like Exorcist type movies, like the possession movies.
Oh yeah.
I do like
Yeah.
those.
Yeah.
And one I'm waiting for, and I've talked to the director a few times. Along Came the Devil. I saw
Mm.
1 and 2, and he did tell me they are planning a third one.
Okay.
Of course, the pandemic hit, so
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know where it's going now. But I'm hoping they will do a third one eventually down the road because I felt like it was open ended. Like they need to do a third one.
Okay.
And then I saw one just the other day because I interviewed the director yesterday. It's coming out in a couple of weeks called The Exorcism of God. It was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
Like,
about it's a priest. It's an American priest in Mexico. Like 18 years ago, he failed on an exorcism. He ended up getting possessed by the demonic spirit, and then 18
mm,
years later, he's now a recluse and he's questioning his faith and loyalty when the demonic spirit returns and has taken over a young girl. So he has to figure out how to
mm.
ultimately destroy it. It was the director of the movie's good. He did a good job on it,
Okay.
and so that's coming out. I think it's coming out on the 18th. So
Okay.
yeah, we got we got some pretty good. We recommend each other some pretty good films we got to check out.
Thank
So
you. Yes,
yes,
yes.
it's safe to say Maria is definitely a true lady of horror. She's done everything, and I can see she clearly enjoys the work.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
There's some amazing films, amazing horror content across multiple genres, you know. Um,
definitely.
so yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a lot more of her to come. Now that hopefully this pandemic will finally be gone, so we can ramp up production again to an all new high and get to see more of people like Maria on screen. And because she deserves it. If you
Thank
don't
you.
know her name by now, it's about time you did, because she is one of the
Mhm.
hardest and busiest actresses I've seen in so many things. It doesn't matter where it's A-list. It doesn't matter where it's indie film. If you look up her name on IMDb, just pick any movie that she's done, and I'm guaranteeing you're going to have a good time watching it, no matter how
Thank
small
you.
her role is. I'm serious about that.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes.
So on that note, that will be the end of our episode of Ladies of Horror. And guys, like I said, check out Maria Olsen on IMDb. Pick any film. I would recommend Percy Jackson. I would recommend I Spit on Your Grave, Deja Vu, Pretty Boy, Blind, and any other film that she talked about that she recommends. You all got to check it out. Even Zombievers, even though she liked that one to watch it, definitely check those out. So anyway, check out worldfilmgeek.com for our latest news, reviews, and interviews. Check out the World Film Geek podcast. We're going to have another episode of Ladies of Horror later this month. And also check out my Friday weekly edition of Movies That Need More Love, where I talk about underrated films that definitely need more love. Just yesterday, I did one on Slaughter High, 1986 slasher flick. So check that one out, and check it out every Friday. So on that note, you guys take care and you all stay safe. And thank you, Maria. You've been a godsend, and I cannot wait to see more of you on the screen. As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to end up going through every single one of these films down the road and just watch them just to see you on screen.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun.
Okay, everyone, you take care and stay safe.